Oh, hi everyone, just out on nightly patrol. Oh, but do me a favor, check out patreon.com/lastangrygeek. There, you can make a donation that will help me get my shows made. I can make new shows, buy better equipment, and there's some great rewards for everyone who donates. So do me a favor, check it out. Thanks.
Reviewer, you stand accused of tampering with time itself.
I think you're overreacting. Honestly, you save one little Hitler and everyone goes bananas. Where's Jamie?
Return to a time and place where it was okay to wear a kilt.
Studio 54, I'll never get him out of there.
Your time is over. You must choose a new face.
Well, what do you have? No. No, anything but that. Is that the best you can do? I've never seen such an incredible bunch.
You're wasting time, reviewer. Since you refuse to take the decision will be taken for you.
Well, what are you doing? Face still molten, too hideous to reveal to the world. Must cover it up. Greetings, my friends. Welcome back to You Know Who. I'm your host, John Pertwee. Now, today's episode features a very famous guest star from a very famous other series. Not that I would know anything about that. This is Doctor Who, the girl who died and the woman who lived. Clara is floating in space and there's something alive in her suit. The Doctor is being attacked by several battle fleets. He gets her to describe the stars she sees and manages to materialize around her, killing the parasite and saving the day. They've stopped another alien invasion, for now. They materialize and Clara wonders why he doesn't stop the invaders permanently. The Doctor has to abide by rules. He can't make any lasting changes, but Clara suggests his time meddling makes him more like a force of nature. They're then set upon by Vikings. The Doctor tries to dazzle them with technology, but they simply break his sonic sunglasses and take the Doctor and Clara prisoner. The party arrives at their village. A young girl, a shielder, is thrilled to see their back. Arya! Surprised to see Maisie Williams on this show? I know I am. A shielder was afraid her bad dreams were a portent of their demise. The Doctor can't stop staring. As he explains to Clara, premonition is simply remembering in reverse. The Doctor escapes his cuffs and tries to dazzle them with a yo-yo. He is Odin. Until the real Odin shows up in the sky, inviting their greatest warriors to Valhalla. A troop of armored beings teleport in and begin to teleport away the warriors. The Doctor recognizes a harvest when he sees it. Clara runs to shield her and has her use the sunglasses to free her from her chains. It works, but they're taken. Clara and company find themselves in a metal chamber. They force the door open, but the first Viking through is disintegrated. The walls then begin to push them towards the beams. A shielder and Clara find themselves in the working of a ship. They were spared by Odin, who wants to know where they got the sonic sunglasses from. Clara points out that Odin must know the sunglasses represent a superior technology, and she must therefore represent a more powerful civilization. Telling the false god that this is a fight he couldn't win, she watches as he drinks down a mixture of adrenaline and testosterone harvested from the dead Vikings. Aye, I know that beverage. It's truly the secret of the ooze. As you drink that, it's made up of pulped Vikings. Ew! Clara almost convinces them to leave when a furious shielder screams at him that her village demands vengeance. Odin accepts this challenge. Tomorrow at noon they will fight, and he returns the ladies home. They beam in, and the Doctor's so happy he even hugs Clara. He's identified the race as the Maya, a group of warriors, but they usually leave after they get what they want. Except a shielder just provoked a fight. The Vikings want to fight, but the Doctor tries to get them to run and hide. They can't possibly win this battle. He then translates a baby's cries as fear. The Vikings' honor will get every man, woman, and child in this village killed. A shielder tries to get him to stay, but he won't have it. Clara follows him outside, and he explains helping this village survive might provoke other Maya to retaliate, or even other alien races to seek out these now great warriors who defeated the Maya. Clara has him keep translating for the baby. The baby mentions fire in the water, but soon stops crying. Clara recognizes it's no longer afraid because the Doctor has decided to stay. They start training the Vikings, but it's rather hopeless. It even leads to a bit of a fire. The doctor tries to get Clara to leave, but she won't go. She tells him to get to work on his real plan because he's missing something. He always misses something until it's almost too late. In a Shielder's quarters, he sees that she's fighting a dummy dressed as not Odin. When parties go out on raids, she tells herself stories about the raids so that they'll all come home safely. Even though she knows they don't have a chance, she won't leave her home. This is where she belongs.
Ha! Imagine being so out of touch with reality you play with puppets. When are we going to get to my review show? I've just been really busy this year. 2016 for sure.
Her father comes in promising to protect his daughter. They hear the baby cry again. It belongs to the blacksmith. When he's upset, he takes her to see the fish in the boathouse. The doctor goes to check. Yes! He calls everyone in. They're going to win tomorrow. The fire and the water the baby mentioned are electric eels. The doctor starts unveiling his plan. They'll use the circuitry in Clara's suit to magnify the electricity. They'll then deploy the anvil, and then someone needs to get him a Mayan battle helmet before they unleash a Shielder's monster. Odin and the Maya arrive. They find the village having a party in their great hall. The villagers are tossing rings, and when several land on the soldiers, a Shielder's dad connects the wires to the eels. An electric current runs through them all into the rings, immobilizing half the Mayan warriors. The villagers then activate several anvils wrapped up in a giant electromagnet that strips the remaining soldiers of their guns and helmets, revealing big, giant piranha heads. They turn off the magnet and the doctor grabs a helmet. He jury-rigs it and gives it to a scared Shielder. Odin's eye widens as the hall's doors break down and a giant serpent enters. With their weapons failing to stop the serpent, one by one, the Mayans teleport away, leaving only Odin. The doctor ends things. A Shielder drops the illusion she was broadcasting into the Mayan battle systems, tricking Odin into thinking her wooden doll was really a giant serpent. The doctor points out an army like the Maya succeeds because of their reputation. Claire captured the entire fight where they're running from a wooden puppet on her phone. If the Maya leave and never return, then the doctor can keep quiet about this humiliation. Or, if the Maya stay and keep fighting, the doctor will broadcast this throughout the universe, utterly humiliating Odin and his warriors. After a few empty threats, the doctor teleports Odin away and the Maya ship leaves. The village celebrates until they notice a Shielder isn't moving. She's dead. Clara and the doctor figure out that her heart stopped because of the stress of operating the Mayan helmet. The doctor's tired of losing. Even when he wins the battle, he still loses. One day Clara will be gone and he'll do what he always does, run from his pain. He's tired of the rules that says he can't change things for the better when he has a flashback to Pompeii. He tells Clara he finally knows what his face means. He remembers Donna asking his 10th incarnation to just save someone as the entire city burned. He remembers saving that Roman family. He has the same face as the father. He's the doctor. He saves people. He removes a chip from the Mayan helmet. It's a Mayan medical kit. He places it on a Shielder's head, and it sinks in. She awakens, and the doctor gives her father a second chip. Back at the TARDIS, he explains to Clara the repair kit will continue to fix her forever. She may now be immortal.
Wait a minute. So the Mayans, who are essentially immortal, just ran from a CGI effect painted onto a wooden doll. And they're one of the greatest warrior races in the universe? They were fooled by 3D glasses. I mean, they make the Sontarans look like the Carthaginians, who I assume were a great warrior race. I don't know history.
Everyone else around a Shielder will die. The second chip is in case she ever meets someone she can't bear to lose, so she won't have to spend eternity alone. The doctor begins to have second thoughts. This may have been a mistake. With that little bit of alien inside her, the immortal girl is now a hybrid. The next episode opens with a highwayman named the Nightmare holding up a stagecoach with a monstrous creature in the woods. The doctor arrives alone and begins tracking something. The Nightmare demands the family's amulet when the doctor interrupts things. His scanner has led him to the rear trunk on the stagecoach. When he and the Nightmare begin to quarrel, the driver takes off. Both upset, the Nightmare's voice changes, and he, or rather she, unmasks a Shielder. She remembers the doctor and shows him that she can make her voice sound like a man's through years of practice. The doctor last saw her, although she didn't see him, when she was founding a leper colony. He's here to find a dangerous alien artifact. He apologizes to her. He wasn't here to see a Shielder, though she doesn't remember that name. These days, she simply calls herself Me.
Oh my god! With her smooth, boyish face and ability to change her voice, me could be out there anywhere. You'll know her by the way she repeats her name over and over and over and over.
As they head to Me's mansion, something from the woods watches. Me was robbing that family because the daughter bragged of having an ancient amulet, probably what the doctor was tracking. Over the last 800 years, she's had many adventures. She explains the books in her library are the records of her life. A mortal mind simply isn't meant to hold multiple lifetimes of memories. She wants to leave this planet and go with the doctor. He says he'll think about it before he begins reading her journals. Certain pages are torn out. In others, references to lovers she's outlived, to children who died in the Black Plague. In the woods, Me calms a bestial presence. She tells it she should have the artifact for them by dawn. Back in the house, she explains that the torn pages are one of memories too painful to hold on to. She only keeps the memory of her dead children to remind her not to have any more. Losing them just hurt too much. He wants to help her become the good person she used to be again, but she's not interested. This time he can't run away, which surprises the doctor. How does she know so much about him? They travel to the home of the family with the amulet. She acquires a key and he puts on his own mask. She shows him that she still has the second Mayan chip, but never found anyone worthy of it. They track down the amulet with its glowing, otherworldly gem, but hide from the staff in the very room where the snoring master of the house is sleeping.
Alright, I admit it, I don't remember this family's name. Was they an easy name to remember? Like Greyjoy or Stark or Kardashian? Oh yes, we have them too.
He awakens and they crawl to avoid him. He leaves, but the doctor knocks over a poker, alerting him. He calls for his blunderbuss, and Me pulls a gun. He comes in searching for them, but the duo has already escaped up the chimney. The doctor mentions Clara, and Me tells him that she'll die and leave him. How many companions has he gone through? On the walk back to Me's home, they're ambushed by another highwayman, Sam Swift the Quick. He's brought a group of robbers with him. They trade banter, but eventually, Me disarms Sam. He disarms her back, and Me eventually pins him with a gun drawn. But if she kills him, the doctor and Me will become enemies. She lets him go, but the tension between her and the doctor is getting worse. Back at her home, the doctor meets her elderly servant, Clayton, as Me changes into something less comfortable. The amulet is for safe passage into the next life, but the doctor believes it's from an alien world. He's decided to stay with Me for a while, but he won't take her away from Earth even when she begs him to. It would be a bad idea. The doors fly open and a large, half-lion, half-man enters. This is Leandro. The doctor realizes the duo are up to no good and tells them to kill him. It's the only way to be safe if they're planning to harm Earth. Leandro escaped his planet's death by traveling to Earth, another reality with the amulet. Me simply wants it so she and King Cat can travel the cosmos. The doctor wants to know why they hid this from him, and they explain. A death is required to activate the amulet. She calls her servant Clayton to them so he can be that death, and they tie the doctor up. Me complains about the unjustness of her situation. The doctor gets to leave and go on to the next adventure while she's stuck behind, slowly living through the centuries. The doctor did what he did to save her life. He didn't know it would ruin her soul. If they opened the portal, unknown tears could come through from the other side. Me says that's as good a reason as any. The doctor says this isn't like her, but no, this is who she is now. This is all that's left from the doctor's meddling. Knocking is heard. 2 soldiers come in. Sam Swift was captured and said the nightmare went towards this house. When she learns Swift will hang, giving her the death she needs, she turns the doctor over to them as Sam's sidekick. Leandro and Me set off, and the doctor tries to convince the guards he's innocent. Eventually he just bribes them and heads after the duo. A scared Sam is on the gallows cracking jokes. Me pays for a quick death and kisses Sam goodbye as the doctor arrives. Sam sees the doctor and calls to him. They begin cracking jokes again. The doctor uses a psychic paper to convince the hangman that Swift is pardoned. Me places the amulet on Sam anyway, and it begins to kill him.
Worst, sweetest days present ever.
The portal starts to open, and Leandro breathes fire at the crowd. He tells Me she isn't leaving with him. He was never going anywhere. A fleet of Leandro's ships are coming through to conquer the Earth. He jumps into the crowd and begins attacking people. Horrified, Me realizes she cares about them. The doctor is all smiles. A shielder is back. They need to stop the death opening the portal, so Me gives the immortality chip to Sam. The portal closes, and Leandro is disintegrated for failing to secure the invasion. Sam is alive and they celebrate at the pub. Alone, the doctor tells me that Sam is probably not immortal, but it wouldn't hurt to keep an eye on him. The doctor and me would be bad for each other. The long-lived can forget what's important. That's why they need the short-lived around, so they can be reminded of what matters. Also, me isn't the first immortal the doctor's known. He once traveled with Captain Jack, and he's sure Jack will meet up with me sooner or later. As for who told her about the doctor, many people. He's had a long-reaching influence on this planet. She decides she'll keep an eye on the doctor, looking over the people he leaves behind when the adventuring is done. They're not enemies. Only friends can truly hurt you. Still, the doctor's glad he saved her. Returning to the present, Clara, finally, enters the TARDIS. He helped one of her students with an imaginary interview with Winston Churchill that wasn't so imaginary. So teacher and student took a selfie with the A she got on the project. However, in the background, the doctor sees a shielder, still there, and watching over Clara. He's missed Clara, but she promises she's not going anywhere.
Foreshadowing! Well, at least it was subtle. Not like that time that I announced Stark Raven would return in 2016 as a Let's Play of Telltale's Game of Thrones episodic adventure game. Well, what did I think of these 2 episodes? Let's take a closer look.
First and foremost, this isn't really a 2-parter, more 2 episodes connected by a reoccurring character. It might have been better if these episodes were split up and aired around another story arc. The best reason to watch this is Maisie Williams. It's easy to get very good playing one character, which Maisie certainly is playing Arya Stark on Game of Thrones. Here, she takes a character and manages to portray that same person at 2 very different times in their life. A much harder task, and one that shows, yes, Maisie's got range. The stories themselves are kind of so-so. Another base under siege alien invasion and monsters with the nefarious plan stories. It's better viewed as one long character study on a shielder/me. Maisie and the writer started out as a naive girl full of love for her simple life. She then turns into someone who's had every possible experience you can have, probably a dozen times over, and has become completely jaded. There are no more thrills or discoveries for her. She's so desperate to escape her boredom that she's even willing to betray and kill others for a chance at feeling alive again. That said, it's only when she's confronted with the consequences of that bad behavior that she does come alive again, once again finding the embers of that caring girl she was. Of the main actors, well, Jenna Coleman's good, playing Jiminy Cricket to Peter Capaldi's doctor. Honestly, she's a non-factor in the second episode, just there to further tease her upcoming departure from Doctor Who. We get it! Clara's leaving, stop rubbing our face in it. Although her best line is when she mentions the doctor's inability to find solutions until the last minute. Hey, that does happen a lot, come to think of it. Peter's 12th Doctor is better in the second episode. The first is him just playing the moral superiority card when the Vikings refuse to leave, and when he refuses to let his shielder die. That action, though, is invoked with memories of the 10th Doctor, and that's appropriate as it reminds me of when the 10th Doctor crossed a line in Waters of Mars. We're meant to infer that a shielder's immortality will come with consequences. In the second episode, he begins dealing with those consequences. In Me, he sees a sort of dark mirror of what he could be if he didn't have the TARDIS, if he didn't have his friends. Big Finish did a great story called Seasons of Fear, where the 8th Doctor takes on a man corrupted by immortality. Both stories show how one can grow numb to life and overtaken by ennui. Looking at each individual episode, Girl Who Died featured steampunk Jadoon. They were a little overly bulky for my taste. I did like the supporting cast as each Viking was given their own character or personality trait, even if they weren't much more than one note. Whereas in The Woman Who Lived, the supporting cast wasn't really worth noting as they didn't have much to do, with the exception of the impressively mustached Rufus Hound, who played Sam Swift. He had a ton of charisma, and his natural sense of humor and self-preservation played nicely against the shielder's inner coldness. Clayton was okay too, for how little he was used. Leandro's makeup was good, but it's hardly the first cat person we've seen on New Who. Plus, almost as soon as I saw him, I knew he was going to portray a shielder. We're still associating her with a good person from the previous episode, and he's dressed up like a literal Lion King. If Doctor Who has taught me one thing, it's nobility bad, common man good. Hey, both episodes featured fantastic locations. From built sets to actual buildings, it all looked suitably authentic for the time periods portrayed. These were pretty good stories, but it's the shielder's arc that's much more interesting than the actual adventures being told.
Well, these 2 episodes featured a tour de force performance by Maisie Williams, who at first shielded her people from aliens, but then, later, it changed so it was all about me. Ha! I've still got it! I think my face is settled. I can finally take this mask off. Oh, yes, that's much better. Ha! Ha! My earlobes are almost a centimetre shorter! You monsters! Oh no. Well, I give The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived 4 TARDISes out of 5. It would have been an almost perfect score for the great acting by all 3 leads, but especially in the first part, the story was pretty basic. I'm off to collect Jamie from the men's room at Studio 54. Until next time, I'm the reviewer, and this is Star... you know who!
Thank you.